There comes a time in the lives of many people when they can no longer fend for themselves. It is a sad and very difficult time to bear, both for the sick and for their relatives, especially because of the number of important decisions that must be made. Among them, the decision to place our relatives in a nursing home. No one likes to be away from their loved ones and leave their care in the hands of others, but there comes a day when we must give in and do what we believe is best for everyone. However, things are not always what they seem, and unintentionally we end up placing our trust in those who deserve it the least. Joy Lewis, 71, from Nottinghamshire, England, was a strong and cheerful woman, but above all, she was a good mother and an exceptional grandmother. At her advanced age, Mrs. Lewis could boast of having achieved great things in her life. She had graduated with honors from law school at the top of her class. After that, she quickly began practicing law and became a member of one of the largest law firms in the country. Everyone wanted her as a lawyer when they had problems, and no wonder, because whether they were innocent or guilty, Joy always managed to help her clients and reach a win-win agreement. On a personal level, there was nothing wrong with her either. In fact, she always said the only thing she liked to brag about in life was her family. It doesn't matter how many cases I've solved, how many diplomas I've hung in my office, or how much money they've made me. Without my daughters, my husband and grandchildren, I would be nothing and I would be lost in life. They give meaning to everything I am and everything I do in life, she said whenever someone asked her about a success of her career as a lawyer. Joy married at the age of 26 to another lawyer she met at the firm where she worked, James Lewis. Both she and James were two talented young people hungry for success when they met. When they fell in love, their priorities in life changed completely. They wanted to start a family, and the sooner the better. They had no desire to wait. Do you think we can be parents and good lawyers at the same time? Joy asked her husband when she was 5 months pregnant with their first daughter, Madison. We'll do great. I have no doubt about it. Now you're scared and think you won't be able to do it. That's normal, honey. I'm terrified and can hardly sleep thinking about the day we meet our baby girl. But when I remember that you'll be by my side to get through it, all the fear disappears. I hope you feel the same when you think of me, because I'll never leave you alone, he confessed tenderly to reassure his young wife. I know, James, I just want to be a good mother and not let work and my career get in the way of that. That's why I married you, you know? You remind me of where my heart is, and that family's the most precious thing we have in life. You are my compass, and I know that as long as we're together, I'll never be lost, Joy said as she caressed her growing belly and gazed lovingly at her husband. The truth is that neither of them was wrong. First, Madison was born, a cheerful, unruly little girl who brought the house to life with the sound of her laughter. And just a year and a half later, the couple welcomed their second daughter, Eleanor. Both were two intelligent and tremendously happy children who had the good fortune to grow up in a strong and loving family. Perhaps that is why many years later, in the twilight of their mother's life, they both did everything they could to make her happy so that she could say goodbye to this world without suffering. They fought to the end for her. Unfortunately, much more than they could have ever imagined. Eleanor was the only one of the two sisters who decided to follow in her parents' footsteps, becoming an excellent family law attorney. Madison, on the other hand, devoted herself to teaching and worked as a professor of literature at Oxford University. Both were intelligent, insightful women with big hearts. Joy and Lewis had raised them well, and for them, as for their parents, family was the center of their universe. So when hard times came and their parents began to age, they were there unconditionally. They cared for them until the end, no matter how long and painful that might be. The first to get sick was their father. Lewis had always had heart problems, nothing serious at first. In his family, there had been already cases of heart attacks, so he was always trying to control it and take care of himself as much as possible. One morning, however, his delicate heart gave out. He was 70 years old, and after spending 2 weeks in intensive care trying to recover from the last attack, his body stopped fighting. Also, if you have not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell to get inspired by these real-life stories every day. Now, back to the story. It was possibly the most difficult moment the Lewis family had to face. They'd always stuck together no matter what, and now suddenly one of the pillars of their lives was gone. It was as if the light of a great lighthouse went out, leaving everything in darkness. I'll never be able to move on if he's not by my side. Your father was my world. My best friend and mentor, he was everything to me. He's gone and now I don't know who I am, Joy confessed, devastated days after her husband's funeral. Joy felt her world split in two. The sadness consumed her, and although her two daughters tucked her in so that the pain of the loss would end, she began to lose the will to live and her health deteriorated rapidly as a result. There was nothing and no one capable of giving her back the joy and zest for life she'd always had. However, the worst was still to come. Just a year after losing her husband, Joy was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. At first, it was small oversights and barely kept her from doing routine things, but within months, her health took a turn for the worse and the disease began to take its toll. When Joy Lewis's Alzheimer's got so bad that she needed round-the-clock care, her daughters had no choice but to find a nursing home. During the first months of the disease, Madison and Eleanor took over the care of her mother, but at some point the situation became untenable. What I'm about to say hurts me as much as it hurts you, but we have to be honest with ourselves and admit that we can no longer take care of Mom by ourselves. She's very sick and needs constant care. Madison, even if we wanted to help her, we couldn't. She needs qualified people to take care of her and improve her quality of life in this last stage. We should place her in a nursing home. I know and I heard very good things about. It's the most appropriate thing to do, Eleanor said to her older sister one morning as they ate breakfast together. You're right, Mom needs specialized help. I'm not going to argue. We have to do what's best for her and the family, and right now we've already reached the limits of our possibilities. She'll be better much cared for in a nursing home, I'm sure of it, Madison admitted with resignation as she tried not to cry again. For the past few weeks she hadn't stopped. Watching her mother waste away like that had shattered her. A few weeks later, Joy was in a nursing home. According to Eleanor, it was one of the best in the county, so they felt safe to leave their mother in her care. Unfortunately, nothing was as they imagined it would be. During the first few visits, everything seemed to be going well and their mother showed no signs of getting worse or feeling uncomfortable. But over time, during visits to their elderly and demented mother, they realized that something was not right and that something very serious was going on in that facility. Joy looked happy, but her daughters noticed that her wrist was bruised and her skin was covered in bed sores. At first, the sisters decided to act on their own and try to find out what was going on without calling the police. So during one of their visits, they managed to install a hidden camera in the room to find out what was really going on. What they would discover a few hours later took their breath away. The images recorded with their camera were so disturbing they had no choice but to call the police. The footage captured by the secret camera showed 3 nurses verbally abusing Joy, denying her diabetic food and drink, and ignoring her pleas that she needed to go to the bathroom. In the footage, she could also be seen being forcibly grabbed by the wrists and dragged out of bed while Joy cried incessantly. Both sisters were very upset and quickly contacted the relevant authorities to put an end to this terrible situation. The police did not hesitate to arrest all the nurses who appeared in the recordings, and after spending 2 months in custody, they were brought to justice so that the full weight of the law could be brought down on them. During the trial, the nurses admitted what they had done and were given suspended prison sentences and community service for 2 years. However, Joy's daughters were not satisfied with that, and after getting them convicted, they started several social media campaigns demanding the mandatory installation of quality security cameras in all nursing homes. We will not stop until real justice is done. These women will not even enter prison despite having committed one of the most terrible crimes that can be committed, abusing a sick and totally defenseless person. The cruelty of the acts carried out by these women deserves exemplary punishment. Punishing them with small suspended sentences and community service will not stop the abuse, but quite the opposite. We will not give up until the justice system listens to us, said Madison in one of the rallies that took place in front of the courthouse to protest the outcome of the trial. They also obtained permission to be able to disseminate the images showing the abuse their mother suffered at the hands of the caregivers, causing social workers to quickly catch fire and mobilize to condemn such abuse and called for harsher prison sentences for the caregivers who carry it out. After taking their mother from that nursing home, Madison and Eleanor decided to hire an in-home caregiver to care for their mother while they were unable to do so. They did not know how long their mother would have to live, but they were not willing to risk her safety again by leaving her health in the hands of disreputable professionals whom they could not supervise. May we all, when we reach the end of our lives, be fortunate enough to have family members as loyal as they are. Their love and devotion to their mother deserves all our respect. Did you like this touching and surprising story? If so, we invite you to leave us a comment expressing your opinion. If you want to continue enjoying inspiring stories like this one, subscribe to our channel or check out the other videos shown at the bottom of the screen. Thank you for your cooperation.